Hello, 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 sellers. It is Kathy, and I love to be selling. Come on in. Come on in. So much wonderful and interesting things to talk about with you. I found a really interesting article that has some ideas for sourcing for inventory that I wanted to share because it's something that you might completely overlook. Because so many of us, when we're sourcing to sell on eBay and Poshmark and other places, we'll focus on thrift stores and yard sales and consignment shops and forget about the wonderful world of retail. And that's what I wanted to bring up because there's some very interesting things going on. So come on in, come on in. I titled this, Would You Buy This to Sell on eBay? And that's the great question. So this is what I noticed. And I'm going to pull this article up for you so you can see this. So hang on just a second. And I will show this to you. Here we go. So I noted this article, and it's about Walmart. And I noticed, hi, Sharon, how are you? I noted, and it also mentions Target, in case you've seen articles about Target on the same topic. So because of various things going on, and I'm going to read this with you because it's very interesting. They are slashing prices. So Walmart and Target, right now, and this is July of 2022, you're going to see some huge sales going on. And I bring this up because we're going into the back to school selling season right now. Back to school really starts in full force, second, third week in August. So some people are shopping it already. Other parts of the country, back to school is stronger at the end of August through about the second week in September. And when you're looking at selling to back to school shoppers, don't forget, yes, it's junior high and high school, but it's also pre-K, it's college, and don't forget the teachers shop for back to school too. So we're going into the back to school season, which can be very strong for sellers. At the same time, there are these things going on in retail, and I want you to be aware of it so you don't get caught with inventory that you pay too much for. Also, this can be a great opportunity to source some inventory. So let's dive into what is going on. So Walmart is very publicly letting people know. So retail giant Walmart told investors on Monday it's looking to slash prices on items like apparel, hello clothing sellers, as it faces a sudden glut of goods. In its earning release for the quarter that ended in June, Walmart mentioned that the higher prices consumers are paying for food and gas are cutting into their ability to buy other goods like clothing. Again, hello clothing sellers, if you notice some things going on. The upshot, there are now more of these goods than the company can sell, so it is discounting the prices on them. And then it says the increasing levels of food and fuel inflation are affecting how our customers spend. CEO Doug McMillon said in a news release Monday. Apparel in Walmart US, and that's going to be men's, women's, kids, everything, is requiring more markdown dollars. So if you are selling clothing and you have not checked prices, be sure to check prices not just on eBay, but on the web, because you're going to want to know what things are going for. And if you checked your prices 6 months ago, even 8 months ago, they might be quite different now. The goods buildup is a result of the company trying to keep pace with pandemic demand while coping with supply chain bottlenecks. So they over-ordered because there had been so many supply chain issues. While stuck at home, consumers had looked to purchase items that met their needs, like casual clothes, goods for home offices, and exercise equipment. But as the economy has reopened and supply chains have recovered a bit, retailers have found themselves left with excess merchandise. Again, categories: casual clothes, home, exercise. Okay. Last month, Target, so now we also have Target, issued a warning similar to Walmart, saying consumers were shifting their spending away from items that had been popular during the early days of the pandemic, like appliances and furniture, to merchandise like luggage and cosmetics. So what is selling, in case you have some and haven't listed it or can source it, luggage and cosmetics. There are pricing problems in apparel, home furnishings, furniture, to a certain degree, electronics, said Neil Saunders, the managing director of Global Data. a data analytics and consulting group. These three areas going to be the ones where you're going to see the most discounting. So areas you're going to see the most discounting: apparel, home furnishings, and furniture, and a bit you're going to see it with electronics. Okay, so what does that mean for us eBay sellers going into back to school? Now, big retailers like a Walmart, like a Target, they are anticipating trends. They have to anticipate trends literally almost like a year in advance. And that's why this has happened, because of the supply chain, because of what was in demand a year ago, 2 years ago. And it's still in demand, but not as high demand. They're going to be doing some drastic discounting. So I put on my eBay seller hat. So a couple things to consider. If you do sell clothing, okay, and the other category being things for the home, so home decor, and to a degree electronics, is look at your pricing. When you're looking at your pricing, consider the fact that they're going to be heavily discounting with some of these brands. And you know if your brands are sold in retailers or not. Okay, some things are harder to get. Some things are more unique. Some things are more niche. And this is not going to apply to my vintage sellers. Okay, these are people that are selling brands that are in retail stores. You might be buying them from retail stores and clearance. You might be getting them at like wholesale discount places. You might be getting them at yard sales, so they're new with tags. And also you might be buying them used because you're getting them used. They're in really great condition, and you've been buying them to be competitive with the new with tag items. And because many shoppers prefer to buy gently used items because of their consciousness for the environment. Okay. So if, for instance, I've been buying Under Armour, Nike, I'm trying to think of big brands, and same things for things like sneakers. Anything where it's going to be in a Walmart, it's going to be in a Target. And this is also going to apply to like Macy's and Nordstrom's, any of your big stores, is be very aware of what the prices are. And again, you might have paid, 6 months ago, one price, and you've been able to sell it at that price, and now you can't. And one of the reasons might be the demand, because it's down. People aren't buying as much, like athleisure. There's an awful lot of leggings being sold and shorts and gym pants because people were Zooming and streaming so much. They only had to dress for work from the waist up. So be aware of what is staying on trend, and therapy can help you with that. Be aware of what is selling and also what price it's selling for. Now, if Walmart and Target and these other retailers are doing these huge sales, and they're all saying they're going to mark down like crazy because they need to move the merchandise. They're not in the position that an eBay seller could be, where they're willing to sit on the merchandise for 6 months or 8 months, okay, and then sell it. The merchandisers, because they've paid for this, they've ordered this, they have it on hand, it's on the selling floor. They need to move it, because they've got fall merchandising coming in, and then they've got their Christmas merchandising coming in. So very much with retailers, they are very time conscious of things have to move within a certain amount of time because of new inventory coming in. They've got to move it. And as an eBay seller, you might not be in the same position. So watch your sales, watch what's selling, watch your prices, and particularly in categories that you have a lot of experience in, okay? So you're very experienced, like with golf apparel, which tends to be a very strong category, or tennis. You might be very strong in men's business shirts or men's trousers, women's business attire. You might be really good at fitness attire. So yes, there was a huge boom past couple of years, but certain brands are still very strong, Lululemon being one of them. Okay, so then I can watch the retailers, and if I know certain brands are strong, I may not get the price that I got a year ago. Okay, so let's say I was getting 30, 35, or 40, or whatever, and I was only paying maybe $4 or $5 for the item. So now I'm not going to get 40, but I can get 30. Or I can get 25. If I can get it for $1 or $2, And if you're buying at the thrift stores and the yard sales, or you're buying at a church sale where you get like a bag of clothing for $1 or $2, and it's big brand names like a Nike, Under Armour, that kind of thing, then you're fine, because you're paying so little per piece, like 25 cents, that you can go up against the big retailers with their price slashing, because they're reducing from like 40 to 30 or 40 to 20. And because you're buying things for 25 cents, 50 cents, you're going to be fine. However, if you've been buying things for higher prices, or you've got certain items and you price them, let's say 8 months ago, it's worth it to go back in and double check your price. Okay. So double check it on eBay. Take a look at the solds and see what it's been going for. Terapeak is great, but look at the time period that you're looking at, because it might have really sold a year ago when there was a higher demand, but the demand just isn't there right now. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say, is because there's this huge amount of inventory that Walmart and Target have very openly said they're going to be slashing. And they have told you the categories that they're going to be slashing. They talked about it. It is, I'm going to go back and take a look at this again. They are discounting the prices on, hang on a second, consumers looking, casual clothes, goods for home, exercise equipment was very popular and is still popular, but not as much. Okay. Appliances and furniture were very much in demand when people are home much more. Yes, it's still selling, but not as much. And this is another thing. What is selling? Luggage and cosmetics. Okay. They said less demand, and they're going to be slashing apparel, home furnishings, and to some degree electronics. So this can be an opportunity to source for our apparel, home furnishings, a certain extent electronics. And while you're there, and as you're thrifting, and as you're yard sailing and consignment shop, luggage, and again, consider size, consider shipping. And that's why things that are smaller, carry-on bags, shoulder bags, the bags that attach to the rolling luggage. I see them a lot when I'm in the airport. Fanny packs, which I've talked about. Huge. People love to travel with their fanny packs. And cosmetics. Definitely keep an eye out for that. They do need to be new. Okay. But again, depending on where you're sourcing, depending on where you go, I have seen brand new, unused brand name cosmetics in thrift stores. Again, people are traveling, they move, they still have great eyeshadow, they still have great mascara, foundation, and they donate it. So always check the expiration date, make sure it's new, but it's in demand. It's selling. Luggage is selling. And then for categories where there's less demand, the key thing is to just really be tough with yourself with how much you're spending on the item. You may need to, like if you've in the past, you've been, buying things for $5, $6, $8, $10, and the price on them has come down. Yes, you can hang on to it and see if the price bumps back up, but it's not going to be for a while, because if they're doing these mass discounts, people are going to be enjoying that, and they're going to be sourcing from the mass discounts. So you may have to sit on it, for 6 months, 8 months, or a year. Look at whether that's going to work for you, or whether you're going to want to discount too and get rid of it. And the other thing is, if they are doing these crazy massive discounts, look at your local Walmarts and look at your local Targets and see how low things are going for. It varies. If you're not aware of this, when these big chains, there'll be markdowns where they're ordered by the chain. Like everybody's got to mark down the green shirts, X amount. But what I've also found with these big chains is that like something might sell in Kansas and it doesn't sell in New York. Something will be very popular in New Jersey and it's not popular in Texas, and vice versa. So that item might have a demand, but not in that area. So they'll mark it down. You'll go into your Texas Walmart and something's marked down 80%. You pull out your phone, you look it up, and by gosh, this thing sells like crazy on eBay. Grab it, right? Because what it means is, okay, your area, it's not in demand, but other areas it is. And that's the wonderful thing about eBay. So back to school, be thinking now, and I've got a free guide for you. Be thinking now about things that people will be buying, because no matter what is going on with the economy, people shop for their kids. So they're going to be shopping for their pre-K. They're going to be shopping for their toddlers. They're going to be shopping for their grade school kids, for their high school kids, and the college kids. And don't forget, with college, it's not just the clothing, electronics, and backpacks and all of that. It's also the dorm gear. And for some, it's their apartment gear. And don't forget, professors and teachers also shop for back to school. So I've got a free guide to help you. I was in brick and mortar retail for well over 25 years. So I have worked through and worked with wonderful retail managers that sell back to school. So I have a really extensive knowledge of back to school and what sells for back to school. I was actually involved in a couple of big retail events here in New York City, where a big retail chain, they would literally have special shopping hours for back to school and hand out coupons to families to come in and shop with them. So that's another great thing with back to school. And this guide's on my website, ilovetobselling.com. Just grab it, the ultimate guide to back to school products. If you're not aware of this, when people shop for back to school, so I'm shopping, for my 8-year-old son, and he wants that really cool backpack with his favorite team on it. Or, I'm getting the sneakers for them, or I'm getting the athletic equipment, is that the parents are shopping for themselves. That's the thing. Like, I was at this event, so they would be there shopping for their college kids, and they're buying things for the dorm, and they're buying the bedspreads, and they're buying sheets and pillows, which I wanted to say. So all of that home decor does sell for back to school. But think home decor for college dorm rooms and home decor that college kids and graduate students like in their homes. They're shopping for themselves. So the parents are busy buying the sheets and the pillows for the child. And at the same time, they're like, oh, I need the knives for myself. Or they're in the store. They're going, hey, you know what? I'm going to pick up a set of sheets for myself. So you may think, I don't really have back to school items. And I bet you do. So you're going to grab my free guide. But because the parent is shopping for the child, remember, kids of all ages, they shop for themselves. So they'll pick up that top for themselves. They'll pick up the earrings for themselves because, please, I just shopped, for my 13-year-old. I need a treat too. They're going to pick up a purse for themselves. So don't forget that back to school, yes, huge array. And by the way, it's a multi-million-dollar retail event, even with everything going on in the economy. But parents shop for themselves while they're shopping for their kids, sort of similar to the holidays. So keep that in mind. So you might only have a few things that are back to school as far as, let's say, like kids' clothing or backpacks or school, electronics, cell phone cases, but those items help drive traffic to your other items. Oh, you're welcome, Angie. So don't discount that, where I may only have a few things that are sort of back to schooly, like knapsacks, but they will drive traffic to my women's clothing, to my men's clothing, to my toys, to my puzzles, because, okay, I bought that stuff for my 12-year-old. Now let me buy a little goodie for my 5-year-old. I bought that cute little knapsack for my 5-year-old. Let me buy the pretty necklace for me. And keep in mind what is selling. Okay, cosmetics, which you certainly need for back to school, right? If you're a teacher, you're going to want some new cosmetics, for the school. For the kids for high school and college, they're, of course, going to want cosmetics. So really keep an eye on cosmetics. I love them because they're light. It's like super easy to pack. It's not going to weigh 20 pounds, going to the post office if you're carrying it. They're light. And you know what it is, too? I think it's that whole thing of just want a little treat for myself. Just try that new mascara, try that new eyeliner, try that new nail polish. So keep an eye on cosmetics and luggage. If it's of a size and weight that's good for you to ship. So that's what I'm thinking, like more messenger bags and fanny packs. And again, the carry-on, I'm big on carry-on totes. I always have a nice big carry-on tote with me. And I like the kind that you can wipe down. You know what I mean? It's like, make it so it's really good for traveling. So keep an eye on that. Grab my free ultimate guide to back to school products, pre-K through college. And remember, no matter what is going on, because you hear a lot of different things as far as our economy and everything, is something is selling every second of every day on eBay. It's a matter of finding what it is and then selling it. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm Kathy. and I love to be selling.